when we implement this thing, of
Mhm.
course, it's going to come with some costs of letting some people go. You know,
Yeah.
how many people are we looking at, and how many people are we keeping? Are we confident that in implementing this thing, you know, um, we're actually going to optimize maybe for profit or for time or for, you know, uh, what are we really optimizing for, right?
Mm.
These are questions that need to be asked. And even when this thing is done, who is the human? Who are the humans that will be maintaining this thing? People, oh, AI is going to replace no. If you know how to use the AI, if you know how to use it in your work, there's nobody that's replacing you.
Is that true though? Because if as a business I have 500 staff
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a quarter of them are
Mm-hmm.
doing tasks that are repetitive, which are tasks that we know that AI can replace,
Mm-hmm.
when we implement AI, don't we have a need to let them go? Are we going to be coming from the angle of, oh, we want to be merciful, we want to be kind? Businesses are out to make money. So
No, of course.
how is that business going to justify that spending? Because AI implementation is not cheap.
Of course. No business runs on mercy, definitely.
Mhm. Hi, my name is Chika, and this is Syntax and Script. I've enjoyed working on this and hope that you find these episodes as stimulating as I have, or even more. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Conversations on Tech and AI. Thank you for joining the show today. My guest for today is Joy Eneghalu. Joy is an AI consultant, an educator, an author, and a founder. She has over a decade of experience across entrepreneurship, digital marketing, program delivery, and organizational change. Her work has helped SMEs and organizations implement AI in ways that are practical, governed, and built to last, which is very important. She has developed the Clear Prompt framework and authored Before Your Next Prompt, which is a practical guide to AI implementation for professionals and business owners. She offers training programs, workshops, and community learning for founders and teams building with AI. She also delivers AI consultancy and transformation support to organizations. Thank you very much for joining me, Joy. It's a very big honor to be on my show.
Thank you, Chika. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so would like to get to know you from your own POV, especially your career path. How did you arrive at what you currently do?
So so first of all, I graduated as a mass communication student from Nnamdi Azikiwe University. And right after that, just like every other Nigerian students, we were just thrown into the wind to go figure. And I think it was during my NYSC that I came across website design, and I was just intrigued by the concept of it. And so, in passing, because I wasn't even actively learning, just in passing, by the fact that I was in the environment where people that were building these websites were, I picked it up without even knowing. So I had left Osun State, which was where I served, to Lagos, back where I reside. And yeah, went online, and then social media management was like brand new in Nigeria. It was buzzing. And
Mm.
I started with that.
What year was this now? What year
Yeah,
was
this
this?
was 2015, 2016. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember, vividly starting with social media management. And I mean, I like to say that I was one of the pioneers of social media management as well, because I had a book as
Yes,
well.
because I remember that's the time when having your business online was really very new.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then there were lots of social media managers trying to like navigate the career path, how much should I charge, and all of that. So, on my end, I was able to like afford to learn from our Western counterparts, got the necessary
Wow.
knowledge I needed, and I was able to like, share as much as I could with the Nigerian community at the time. And so while offering social media management, I also had clients who were like, oh, I have my WordPress website. It needs to be managed. Oh, I want a website. I'm like, okay, I think I can do this as well. And I remember I started getting clients for WordPress website design, which at first I did not know, because if you remember, I said I learned it in passing. I wasn't actively learning.
Mhm.
So I would get the job and I'll give it to, the guy I was working with at the time until my knowledge was well grounded. And then I started taking on the jobs by myself. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And from there, every other thing, from at the time I was talking about personal branding. We were able to we started helping personal brands then to just build their brands online and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I also talked about podcasting, creating an online course, just pretty much whatever it is that takes to help you to build your business online at the time.
So, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been 10 years doing that. So yeah.
Wow, that's proper expert level. That's proper expert level. So, how did you get to the AI adoption specialist part now? I know that when AI
um,
came, a lot of people, yeah, there was this mad rush. How did you get to that point?
Very interesting. So allow me to say that before now, AI has been a thing. It's just not it just did not have the wave that
Mm.
it has now. But I mean, working as a social media manager, I remember then I actually automated my business's Facebook
That was in
business account.
2016. That was in
Yes.
20.
Yeah.
Hey, I love that people are saying this thing because I a lot of people don't actually know that there was actually AI, like implementation of things
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
without you actually, yeah, doing the work manually.
Yeah.
People just ChatGPT made it seem like once you're interacting with the
Yeah.
chatbots, that's the only time you're talking about AI-ish. There are even
Exactly.
several classes of AI, even Internet of
Exactly.
Things, like algorithms learning your behavior is an implementation of AI.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
like that people are saying this now.
Exactly. So it has always been. I mean, even when people are saying, "Oh, automate your business and get your time free," automation has always been we've
Yeah,
always
it's
been
always been
using
there.
Zapier to
Mm.
automate communication between two apps or between two products. So for example, a very minor example I know I've always used with Zapier is because I have an edtech platform. So when people register
You have an
to
edtech platform.
yeah, where we've been teaching tech skills, for 4 or 5 years
Oh,
now.
we'll talk about that. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that.
So
Yes, that is distracting.
So when people sign up, on the Google form, it automatically gets their details and takes it to my email marketing platform. So I don't have any business. So, and all these things have been, you know. So
Mhm.
me getting into AI proper because prior before now, if you had asked me this question, say 5 years ago, I probably would have answered it that my role was like a digital marketing specialist, right? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, me switching up my title from digital marketing to AI, it's not
Mm.
because, oh, I want to know. The question is, how did I become an AI adoption specialist? So,
Yes.
for me, I had laid everything on the table to say, okay, this has been my background for the last 10 years, right?
Mhm.
And I know that in marketing, I am very much aware of how AI is being implemented and how it's being used, different use cases and stuff.
Mm.
And I look at these things and I said to myself, I said, okay, I love digital marketing. It remains my blood, right?
Mm.
However, I foresee that there's going to be a lot of disruption. I foresee that certain things so back in the day, there were things like, for example, content writer, content manager.
Mm.
I don't see the relevance of that role now. Sorry for anybody who is in that role listening, right? Right.
Okay. So
So
AI has replaced
unless
people,
uh
or there are fewer openings for such roles.
I mean, AI does it effortlessly. So for me, the only bit that I see that as a content person that you may remain relevant in your role is maybe scaling up to learning things like SEO, how to
Mhm.
how to use this content to rank on Google, appear on these LLMs so that when people
Mhm.
search, they actually recommend that brand or the product to them.
Okay.
That's for me, that's a top-notch use case. Or somebody wants to shop, and then I maybe, for example, say I want to buy this candle, for example.
Mhm. Mm-hmm.
I should whenever I search on ChatGPT, your job as a content person who has now scaled,
That's like AI SEO optimization specialist.
exactly. So AI SEO, is, I know some people have like AEO, GEO, there are different
Yeah,
names flying up and
yeah,
down right now.
yeah.
You know,
I can't even keep track of everything. Yeah, because
exactly. So there are lots of names flying up and down now. But the important thing
Mhm.
is when I search for this candle should be able to pop as number one, especially if I've hired you as a content person or say a brand manager and part of your KPI is content or things like that. So yeah, I just pretty much looked at it and I said, okay, there are still certain parts of digital marketing that will definitely rely on humans and stuff, but for me, I just did not want to be caught in the web of all of that. So I just asked myself and I said, what's like, 'cause from where I'm standing, what's the other value that I could add to people, not necessarily leaving out my background. My background definitely comes with me. It's the advantage, it's
Yes,
the edge,
that's your
right?
springboard. Mhm.
Exactly. But what other value am I able to bring to people? And that's AI adoption. Like I looked at the fact that I myself was confused when I started, you know, paying attention to this whole AI wave. Like everybody
Maybe
was saying different things. Oh, there's AI photography. Oh, there's AI this. Oh, AI that. AI. And I'm
AI
like,
photography.
okay. So, and for me, like the AI photography, I would liken it to like maybe a woman selling tomatoes. No, no,
Mhm.
no. I'm not trying to belittle anything, but
It
it's pretty much like, so I would say the creator space is pretty much where everybody tends to like run into. Everybody
rush
wants to create
into.
video, everybody wants to create pictures, everybody wants to, and I'm like, okay, I cannot be doing this.
Mm.
I work with SMEs normally, and the biggest issue that I see is the fact that they are confused about how to use AI. They don't even know the first thing about it. And even when they
Mhm.
start to use it, they don't know what the boundaries, you know.
Mhm.
We see news of like big companies saying, oh, for example, they let go of X thousand
Back
staff.
in their whole
uh,
yes,
and people are like, okay.
yeah,
And I'm just saying, there is, don't panic, don't worry, all those people, don't worry, because even now we see some of them even regretting those decisions, right?
yes, and
So
rehiring. Yeah, because
exactly.
we I think the adoption mindset initially was more like, okay, we've developed this tool. A lot of money and resources have been sunk into it. Somehow we need to make the money back. So
Back.
it needed to be marketed, and it was marketed as a tool that did not have any limitations. I believe that the people that developed these tools knew they had limitations, but they needed to start making money already. And people just start adopting without really maybe doing like small use cases to be sure that it can actually replace the human beings. And maybe they did and found out that it had some capabilities and just thought it would do so much more when they let go of people. And now they're realizing their mistakes. And I think that's the same thing that happens with SMEs too. When they say, okay, we don't need a photographer, let's just go prompting. We don't need a brand designer. And that's why everybody's logos look like the same. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean that's also an interesting take, to be honest. And yes, you're
Mhm,
absolutely spot on. I always like to say that the so-called AI is actually
mhm,
years and years and years of worth of information from who? From the same human beings. Like
mhm.
without humans and the information that we've been able to generate for years, there will be no AI. We need to
Sure.
understand that. So
Yeah.
it's really, and that's why I always talk about human-centered AI implementation. Like it's really, really important. You want to implement AI, the humans have to be at the center. That's the
Mhm.
that they should be the foundation. Then you build on that. So you're not saying,
Is that your philosophy on AI now?
yeah, that's what I've always preached. That's what I've always talked about. Like even for example, I go into an organization. Okay, we want to do AI adoption. Special. We want to do AI adoption. Da da da. Fine.
Or what's your framework like?
My first thing first is to find out. Okay, where are you guys? What are the processes you want to automate? I want to understand your
Mhm.
processes. I see all that is going on. If, for example, maybe marketing, operations, I just try to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to chat with the human beings first that you do
Mm-hmm.
this actual thing, okay? I want to
Yeah.
understand their own pain. What are the things that you want to automate? What are the things that you repeatedly do that you don't want to have to do again? What are the things that you feel that you do manually and you feel that a simple system can actually be built for it, that maybe in a way that will have all this information in one place? How do you come up with information? How do you store information? How do you process information? These are things I want. And there is no other person that can give you this info except the humans,
Yeah.
especially the ones that have been there for a very, very, very long time, the really old staff, because those ones are like working institutions, you know,
Yeah.
they're like a working body of knowledge. They know everything and anything that works in that organization. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the kinds of people that you get the information from, right? And then you build, and you don't just go ahead to start building or trying to get them to use it straight away. No, at every process, at every stage, they must be a part of it. Okay, this is the stage one. This is what we've gotten to. We now want you to test it. You test it. Is it okay? Do you think it's something that you can use? How does it work with your day's job? How do you use it? How does it maybe interact with other tools that they use or other platforms that they use? So it's just an entire process. Of
Is
course,
it
it's
always
not.
easy to get people to
It's
adapt
not.
to
Of
AI,
course, it's
knowing
not.
fully well that they have fears that after they've helped you to train this thing now to implement it, they could be let go of?
And there are some people that are like intentionally difficult because of
Mm-hmm.
this same bias
I'll
that you
come to
have,
that. Yeah,
that
exactly.
you've just mentioned. There's some people that are intentionally difficult, but that's the thing. AI is not, yes, people, oh, AI is going to replace no. If you know how to use the AI, if you know how to use it in your work, there's nobody that's replacing you.
Is that true though? Because if as a business I have 500 staff
Mm-hmm,
and maybe a quarter of them are
mm-hmm,
doing tasks that are repetitive, which are tasks that we know that AI can replace,
mm-hmm.
when we implement AI, don't we have a need to let them go? Are we going to be coming from the angle of, oh, we want to be merciful, we want to be kind? Businesses are out to make money. So
No, of course.
how is that business going to justify that spending? Because AI implementation is not cheap.
Of course, no business runs on mercy, definitely.
Mhm.
But what I will say to that is, I'm going to give an instance. So, for example, you mentioned having 500 staff, right?
Mhm.
You also
Mhm.
need to know that whatever it is that you've automated needs maintenance. You know?
Exactly.
So it's not,
But
oh,
it's not going
because
to still need
AI.
the same number of people.
No, definitely, definitely, and that's why I said that if you know how to use it, then
Mm.
you're not going to you're somewhat safe, right? So and this, I think this age calls for a lot of learning, upskilling, trying to get as much skill as possible. I
Mhm.
think I think that's the age that we're in calls for it. And that's why I said, if you know how to use the AI, if you're able to prove your value, your worth to the
Mm.
organization, I don't see why they should let you go, because yes, we've implemented the AI, but it still needs maintenance. Sometimes the thing that you built with AI breaks by itself, you know.
Sure.
Even if you don't even use AI itself, normal coding said that we normally code, sometimes it breaks. You
Yeah.
go ahead and
Yeah. You
maintain,
have.
right? So it's not a question of, oh, we'll let everybody go. No. And that's why I still maintain the human-centered implementation, because you still need the humans who understand how to use these things to be there, and
This was not actually. I'm sorry for cutting you short, but
yes,
as you
okay.
were talking, I
Yeah.
I I I just distilled one point, which is something that has always been itching at the back of my mind. I know it's not part of what we discussed in the preliminary conversation, but as you were just talking, you just clicked that what are we trying to know at? Because the whole concept of AI is
Mhm,
definitely going to replace people. Nobody is doubting that.
mhm,
And some roles have emerged in
mhm.
its defense. Some roles have emerged.
Yeah.
People have had to learn new things.
Yeah.
Some new vistas opened up for everybody. But
Yeah.
essentially, AI is driving everybody to become a specialist. And what happens with specialists? is that we don't need too many specialists to get a job done. Yeah, like the matchmaker. So what happens to the the
The
other number of
generalist.
people that are not, yes, what happens to them? That's a question. What's
Ah,
going to happen to those people? We've not answered the question. I think that's what is driving all of the fear.
that's a very, very interesting question. And I don't think it's a question of generalist or specialist, to be fair. And it still boils down to what I said earlier, the fact that we all need to upskill, whether
Mm-hmm.
you are a generalist or a specialist. We
Mm-hmm.
all need to upskill. If you even ask me, especially in this age of I think that the where the specialist thing comes in is actually in industry knowledge, domain knowledge. That is where it comes in. So, for example, if you're very well versed in the hospitality industry, as you understand how it works, this is minus AI. You
Okay.
understand how hospitality works, from hotels to like restaurants to kitchen and all those things as a whole. And then you're now armed with the knowledge of AI, maybe the implementation, maybe the trainings or adoption. I don't see why you shouldn't thrive, So I don't even think that it's being a generalist or specialist. I think we're in the era of what's your core, you know, the domain knowledge, the industry knowledge. What do you really know? Because
Okay.
if you don't know, AI amplifies it. If you know, AI amplifies it.
That
That
is
is
true. That
that
is
is the
true.
thing.
The tool is only as good as the person that's using it.
That's it. So if you don't know, AI will help you shout to the rooftops that you don't know. So I don't think being specialist or generalist is an issue. Even though personally I've not had to think too much about generalist specialist ever in my career. I don't even think of those terms. For me, I'm very much interested in, okay, this is the industry. How well do I know this industry? What are the things that I need to know about this industry? I think that's where the main source is, especially now that with AI, there's so much information overload. There is
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
knowledge is now very common, things. So
Mhm.
what is going to separate the real thing from the chaff is those who know their core, those with domain
Yes.
knowledge, real expertise that can actually prove what they know. And AI would just be the icing on the cake for them.
Yeah. So what I've taken away from I've had like up to 10 interviews before now. I think you're my 11th guest. What I've taken away from what everybody is saying is that yes, the fears are valid somehow,
Mhm.
somehow. Uh, but at the core of everything is that the people who know what they are doing, like it's even now that the bar has been raised
Exactly.
so high that if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be part of the people that will be have your fear is
Exactly.
going to be very valid at that point. But if you know what you're doing, then you just have to keep like you're not competing against machines. The competition is
Exactly.
now tougher. Yeah, it has made the competition tougher. So, as an AI adoption specialist, have you had businesses approach you that you felt didn't even need AI? They just were riding on the hype. When you assessed them, you just knew that these people do not need AI. Are there businesses that don't need AI?
I'm sure they exist, but I haven't worked with any yet. But I'm sure
Okay.
that they exist, and this would be companies that maybe typically, if they were to implement AI, it's so not AI per se, but if they were to implement AI in a certain way, I think that's the best way to put it. It may
Mm-hmm.
cost them so much, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It may take time to train people, especially if
Mm-hmm.
they have a very large number of staff, you know.
Okay.
But I don't think I have come across any business like that. And it doesn't also mean that there is no business that doesn't need to implement AI. I don't think there's any business that doesn't need to. I think it's
Yeah.
just the way they go about it that will be the major
Mm.
concern, you know.
Okay.
Um, the process, the trainings, the tools, um, the I mean, what's the KPI for this tool? Like, why are we using it? What does it save us money? Does it save us time? These are
Mm-hmm.
questions, core business questions that needs to be answered,
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't think they may exist. Maybe I'm sure that there are so many businesses today that have not even they're not even
But
bothered
that,
with this clip. I'm sure.
yeah, because the cost of getting the AI and maintaining it is even better than a human being just does it.
Exactly. I'm sure that they exist, but it doesn't mean that I know that maybe from like 2 years from now, because AI,
Mm.
the speed at which AI is using to grow is just so crazy,
Yes, there's
So
always something.
yeah, so I'm sure that maybe 2 years from now, they probably will start that conversation. They may be late, but I'm also sure they don't mind being late, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They just may probably want to take their time, but I'm sure that every business, maybe if be it customer service, be it in operations, be it in marketing, be it in whatever, I'm sure that there's always a way that you can just automate things and or implement AI in a way that saves the business money, saves the business time, things like that.
Okay. So, what are the key things you emphasize on when talking to people and businesses about AI adoption? Like when you're talking, especially with the mindset of adopting, so that whatever you're adopting, you will not turn to those businesses that just rush in, implement full on, sack people, and then do a U-turn. What are the key things you emphasize on?
So I think that the first thing is understanding your why. Like why are you jumping on it because of the hype, or at this time does the business need it, or do you think that the business can actually have a maybe 1 year plan on how they can transition to it and where they actually need it in the business, you know?
Mm,
I think that'll be the first thing. The other thing will be, of course, human centered. When we implement this thing, of
mhm.
course, it's going to come with some costs of letting some people go. You know,
Yeah.
how many people are we looking at, and how many people are we keeping? Are we confident that in implementing this thing, you know, um, we're actually going to optimize maybe for profit or for time or for, you know, uh, what are we really optimizing for, right?
Mm,
These are questions that need to be asked. And even when this thing is done, who is the human? Who are the humans that will be maintaining this thing?
mm,
Who are the humans that will be in charge of this thing? Very, very important question. Oh, we want to adopt and implement AI. How long is it going to take us? Is there a way for us to maybe start like a very soft test, maybe just within maybe a very small, tiny 10-man team? Maybe
mhm.
comprising of one person per department or two people per
Okay.
department, to see how this thing works or goes before we then scale it. You know, these are very, very important questions. So these are some of the things that I think that um companies need to ask. And even when this is implemented, who is responsible for training the staff, who is responsible for letting everyone know how to use this thing, and when it is implemented, how do we measure that people are actually using this? How do we measure the impact of this
Mm.
thing that we've just implemented? So
Yeah, it's the same way we do KPIs for human beings.
exactly, so these are some of the questions that need to be asked.
Yeah. Talking about trainings,
Mhm.
can you talk a bit about the edtech business that you mentioned earlier?
Oh, okay. In 2021 or 22, I can't remember now, but of April.
That's way before ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sticking with an OG.
we we started off as something we called um after school initiative for
Okay.
people who wanted to learn tech skills. Then from there we transitioned into more techies. The business is called More Techies Academy. Pretty much
Okay.
we've been training people
That's
on.
still the same business but rebranded.
Yes, rebranded. Yes. So we train people on tech skills, especially people who are not like technical talents. They're not software engineers, pretty much no code talents, that's what we call them. So we have about, I think, 15 courses, from product management, partnership management, software testing, digital marketing, email marketing, WordPress website design. Yeah, so we have some of these, and till today I still run trainings, monthly trainings, where
Okay.
we also teach people like with AI now. So we started since January, and you would find some of the replays on the on more techies as well.
Is there a website that if somebody wanted to maybe reach
Yeah,
out,
just
how
go
do they
to
go?
academy.moretechies.co,
Okay. Thank
you know,
you.
and you will see the courses there. So yeah, we've been training no code talents to upskill in tech.
What's the pipeline like? That's pipeline to work. Once they finish, what kind of roles do they go on to? Do they give you feedback? Oh, I've gotten a job, like
Oh yeah, oh
internship. How
yeah,
easy
oh
is it?
yeah.
I'm asking because of the way AI has kind of like destabilized everything now, especially the job
Yeah.
market.
I would say that of course we've had people that have come back to say, "Oh, I got this job." You know, we would have some people living abroad. I got this, I got that, and all of that. Um, I would say that it's even like for the edtech, it's not even so much about AI. Funny enough, it's even more about the economy, people's ability to afford what it takes to learn, right?
Oh.
And this is not charity, this is a business. So
Mm.
it's not even about AI because this AI, something as you would think that something as basic as prompting is easy, but I bet you so many people do not understand what it takes to prompt.
Especially so many tutorials online. A lot of people want to be handheld.
Exactly.
And
And that's why I came up with that like framework, because you don't need to overthink it, right? Just
mm,
give it the context, let it know what your business is all about. If there are particular maybe figures, or for example, maybe my business is 2 years old, or my business is 10 years old, or I have 15 customers, explain
yeah,
it to it.
yeah.
As much context as you give it, the better. I always
Mm,
say that in this era of AI, it is the person who knows how to ask the right questions that will win.
exactly.
So you need to learn how to ask questions, and learning how to ask questions equals knowing how to prompt. You need to know
Hmm.
how to, because whatever, like I said, if you don't know what you're doing, AI will amplify it. And the beautiful thing,
Mm.
when you don't even know what you're doing, it helps you amplify it in confidence, as if it's telling you the correct thing.
Yes, yes.
That's the
That's
danger.
the psychopathic angle. Yeah, where
That's if you don't know how to think for yourself, you don't have domain knowledge. Whatever it
hmm
tells you, you just be taking hook, line, and sinker. You don't.
yeah.
It's always tell you,
hmm
"Oh, well done. This is a very good question. Before I go this one, let us tackle this one." That is, and you will be believing it. But if you know how to think, you will
Yeah.
push back to say no. This is not
hmm
it. Maybe I should provide you a better context, and then you give it even more context for you to give you a
hmm
proper answer. So yeah,
Okay. So during our discovery call, you mentioned some financial tools that you built with AI. Can you
yeah.
tell us more about it? How did you even start? Tell us the origin story.
Oh my god, the listeners are going to be like, "Who is this person?" He said edtech, now you're saying finance.
No, no. I based on what I've been seeing online, because
Oh my god.
visibility is literally the new audio now. So visibility, which equals to data as well, I guess, because they're farming our data, whether
Yes.
you like it or not. But like a lot of people come online to say things they've done with AI.
Yeah, yeah.
And it has literally made the jack of all trades thing like not a stigma now. When you say you're a jack of all trades and AI is enabling, I've seen a founder that doesn't know anything about coding. She vibe coded stuff. She was just watching what people have been saying about how they've been able to
Mhm.
like automate some things, build apps or tools for their business, especially tools that are just unique to their business use case, right? So they just, give the AI the context of what they need and it helps it. So I've seen a lot of people do a lot of things, delve
Yeah,
into things they would ordinarily not delve into because it has
yeah.
lowered the barrier to learning things. Yeah. You can go pull very large data into notebook LME to explain the thing to you. You will become a textbook expert from just how many minutes of listening to this thing. So that's not, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
I have to tell you because I know when I started interviewing, I would just come to an interview and say, "Oh, I can do this one, I can do this one." Anyway, if you want to slot me in, I will fit in. And there was always this. They choose one side now. You want to be everywhere. So at the time, it was more like if you're a jack of all trades, you don't know what you want. But
Yeah.
now, jack of all trades are winning. We're on top.
That's well, I think that the like you rightly said, with AI, people are doing things that they would ordinarily not do, and that's pretty much my story.
Mhm.
I remember watching Lions Den. I watch such live programs, where entrepreneurs are pitching. That the
That's
common
pitching for
problem,
money.
yes. And then I saw the common problem was that people they ask people like questions like, okay, how much did you make this year? What was your revenue in the first year? Is this like I literally even just saw a video yesterday. Somebody did not
Mm.
make money like 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and you're
Wow.
valuing your business at 200 million. As how? Right? And then they
Yeah, we're
asked
going to talk about how they come up with those valuations because I've never been able to figure it out.
and then they asked him, said, okay, so what have you been doing? And he's like, oh yeah, we've been trying to, work out the website. And I'm like,
Mm. Ordinary
website,
website. Ordinary website in
the
2026.
website, right? So things like that, when I used to watch, I remember just telling my husband, and I said, I really don't understand why people still like go to these shows and fumble. Like, how has nobody come up with yeah, I know there's so many accounting tools, but
Mm-hmm.
this one accounting like for startups that gives
Mm.
you like the kind of accounting figure that you need.
Mm.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
talking like accounting like the zero platforms and all
Yeah.
what
Core, too
for startup
technical.
numbers. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is your valuation. If you're to sell the business, this is what it will look like. It
Mm-hmm.
gives you all those things. And then I mean, it's something we started working on it, funny enough, even before AI. We started working on
Okay.
it. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that was the research, the features of the website as a whole. That was where,
Mm-hmm.
because of we had started working on it. So it was very easy for me. Like I tell people that I literally built it like in 24 hours, because I already had all the information I
Yeah,
needed.
yeah. They already done all the groundwork.
Yeah, years ago. So when tools like these AI tools, Love People and Co came, it just
Mm.
24 hours and it was done. So yeah, I just built it to be able to solve, problems like that, so that
Mm-hmm.
you want to go for funding, you want to be able to raise money and stuff like that. You just upload your business numbers, and based off of
Mm-hmm.
your business numbers it gives you your actual figures, not
Valuation.
some bloated things. Yeah,
Yeah, that you make up your head, imaginary,
yeah,
because you feel based on feeling.
exactly. So the numbers of course will not be perfect because of course we are not financial experts, but
Mm-hmm.
you are left with something that is within the range. You're not,
Yeah.
if you're supposed to be within the range of, say for example, 500,000 pounds to £1 million, you're not going there to scream 20 million pounds when you're nowhere
200
close to that.
million.
Something like that, and then thereby embarrassing yourself, pissing off the
Yeah.
judges, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So yeah, so I just built that, and it's just there.
Okay. You mentioned putting in business data and some of the problems that people have come to talk about, especially people who are on the security side, have come to talk about how insecure these tools can be. And even chatting with ChatGPT is not even safe because the people who build this tool can see the back end. People can do anything with your stuff. So
Mhm,
how do you make sure that vibe coded apps like yours now are secure?
mhm.
What kind of um template do you look at to make sure that it's secure for people to come and impute their data and then trust that it's not going to be stolen or it will not be compromised?
Yeah. So one of the things I did was to do my research as to what it takes for a product to be safe, security
Mm-hmm,
wise.
mm-hmm.
So for example, API keys being exposed, when the platform has no policies, the RLS policies, so for example, maybe user A will be able to see user B's details, all those kind of
Yeah,
things.
history.
Yes.
Yes.
you know
Absolutely.
uh-huh
You got,
um
yeah, your competitor will just sign on. When they hear it, they'll just come and steal your whole formula.
maybe even the
I
user
know.
self can even access your admin area self, all those kind of things
Ah,
you know
yeah.
so I edge cases, what happen if this happens, then what happens, so I'm not a software person, but
Yeah.
I was able to go do my research as to what it takes for these tools to be safe, and
Mm-hmm.
I was able to implement them, and like I said earlier, you build this tool does not mean you build it and then remove your hand. No, it
Yeah, I
needs
have to.
constant maintenance, because sometimes it breaks itself. There could be maybe an update or something that could just break something, those kind of things. So it's very, very important that it's not something that you do the moment you decide to even build a SaaS, no matter how tiny or simple it is, my dear, you keep
Mm.
checking it. Like,
Yeah, you have to keep tweaking.
yeah, and the reason you have to do that is, if not for anything, for the trust of your customers, because it will be
Exactly.
so sad and bad that your customer details are exposed, things like that. And like I always say, that people have a lot of think pieces, and I just feel like if anybody is listening to me right now, please build with those tools if you have to. However, the caveat there is that as you grow, as you get paying customers, let me say your 100th paying customer, you can now
Mm-hmm.
consider taking that the tool off those AI platforms, and then maybe hosting it on your own local server, be storage or whatever, just so that you can have some level of control as well, you know.
Okay.
Um, but security wise, there are just some things that are non-negotiables, and depending on the country where you live, if
Yeah.
you, for example, if you live in the United Kingdom, there's certain things that you must do. For example, you must register with the
Mhm.
ICO. You must let them know that you're collecting people's
What's the
details.
ICO?
It's called the, I think, Information Commissioner's Office.
Yeah. Yes, they're very big on collecting data.
Yeah, so for example, this tool I talked about, it's in the ICU because you don't want problems, and
Mm-hmm.
for example, if for any reason you find out that your customer information has been leaked, just report yourself immediately. Don't waste time, because
Mm.
if you don't and they find you out, or people begin to report you, it's a lot more worse, right? There is also, for example, is it the FCA now? Yeah,
Yeah, because you're dealing with finances.
finance. Yeah, so in our own case, the moment we try to get customer bank information. So, for
Mm.
example, say we use a tool like, say, Trust Layer or Yapili, for example, to connect to our tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we must register with the FCA, but the thing is that because a platform like Trust Layer, for example, their own FCA covers us, right? So we don't
Yes.
necessarily have to go register directly.
Okay.
The only thing is
Mm.
that we are not keeping money. We must not. We have no business with keeping anybody's money.
Yes.
Must not cross that line.
Mm.
So yeah, so these are some of the things. So depending on the country you live in, if you're in Nigeria,
Yeah.
you just want to know what the GDPR policies say there. I mean, you may think that, oh, it's Nigeria now. Hey God,
Yeah, compliance issues. Yeah, because
compliance is a big deal. Like, literally, there's this. Okay, this is one other tool that we built, and then when we did marketing for it, one of the questions that we got was, what is the compliance on this tool before I use it. The person was interested, but they wanted to know what the compliance was, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so
As
thankfully,
they should be.
yeah, what we now did was we're like, okay, if people are asking this question, maybe we should publish like a trust page on the website as well. So it should have a trust page
Yeah.
where people can see exactly what it is that we've done, So
Yeah.
we have the ICO. The moment we decide to want to connect to your bank account, then we would let you know that we're working with Trust Layer, and Trust Layer has the FCA licenses and we are covered, things like that. So
Mm.
yeah, these are some of the security compliance, these are some of the things that are very, very, very important. And I think that's one of the things that people don't talk about much when it comes to vibe coding. I see a lot of people
Yeah.
teaching vibe coding, which is one of the things I've decided to do, to also teach people. I don't like the term vibe coding because it sort of dumbs it down, like it's not a serious
Mhm.
thing. It is a serious thing, right? So if you decide that you want to serve, say, just 100 people who will be paying you 5,000 naira per month, you need to keep their trust. And that means that
Mhm.
whatever tool that you're building, the security has to be tight. you know
Yeah.
you must make sure that their details are safe, and you must also, like, communication, you and communication with 5 and 6. If for any
Mhm.
reason maybe you're integrating a tool or something happened, you like your communication should be like this. you know that's one
Yeah.
of the ways that people trust you. So yeah, that's one of the things that we've implemented, and I really hope that people listening too. I mean, there's still a whole lot, but these are some of the very strong basics.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely, because the security concerns are not even because with you know how with advancement in AI, the positives and the negatives are growing at the same time. It's not like it's only the positive that's growing.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of ways now that your app can even be hacked more easier than
yeah,
before. And there will always be scrupulous elements in the community and around us. You just need to put out your product and somebody's already trying to hack it, trying to steal things that they did not build. So
true.
we have to be very, very conscious, and people have to ask questions too, because I believe that one of the issues that we have is people blindly trusting things. Once they just say it's tech, you just believe that, oh, it will solve all of your problems. It's a panicky. And that's why I always ask people, what's your philosophy with AI? Because with AI, a lot of people just say, oh, this tool is great, can do a lot of things. And we're not kind of like questioning things, even at the fundamental level, the way these tools
Mhm.
are they built sustainably? Do we really need the in some use cases? I know it's great. Hey, I'm pro AI. That's why I'm doing this, right? I love that it's been able to democratize a lot of things, whether it's learning, knowledge sharing, everything. It's made access very easy for people. If
Yeah,
you want to do the work, you have the team there for you. If you want to
that's
learn,
right.
if you me, I don't even know maths. If I want to learn maths now, at least calculus, I have you can prompt this thing, the tool that you're using to teach you based on your learning level. And before you know it,
That's
you'll
right.
catch on. Ahead I started transitioning to tech in 2021. And one of the reasons I didn't fully transition was because I found that I couldn't code because math was always a thing. I started with C, I started with Python, and I'll just after the first few, layers of learning, I'll get
Yeah,
stuck. Now people don't even say that because they don't know how to code, they cannot go ahead to become cloud engineers or
true,
whatever. So
true.
those are not excuses that people now have these days. So I like that AI has kind of like made access easy. It has made a lot of things easy, but it has also made a lot of things harder. The people that know what they're doing are the people that are actually benefiting from all of this, and we should ask questions. That's essentially yeah, and I like that people like you who are AI adoption specialists are going the sustainability part, going the build to last part, where you're making sure these businesses are actually understanding what they are going into. It's not all about the hype. These tools have limitations. They have cases where they can even bring more harm than good. So having people like you in the society just makes life easy. So my last question to you before we wrap up. I know we're supposed to be wrapping up now, which is yeah. Is if somebody wanted to become an AI adoption specialist, like whatever role they are in now, what where does the person have to start from?
So I think for me, the way I just transitioned to be, and this is just me being honest, I took a course on Udemy. I took several
Okay.
courses actually on Udemy. And the reason I did that was because, of course, I wanted to actually understand like what it is I was going into. I wanted to understand what it would take for me to, get into that space. I wanted to also understand if it was a fit for my personality type, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody who likes to I like to train, I like to learn new things. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
why I fell in love with digital marketing, because with digital marketing there was always something new. So it meant I was constantly learning, and
Mm-hmm.
that's AI too is almost the same thing.
Yeah,
um
you have to be
there's
on your
always
toes.
something new. Yeah, so you sleep and wake up, there's a new update. You sleep and wake up, this one has been banned. You sleep and wake up, this has happened. So I think that's why I just like it, the whole drama that comes with so yeah. And then the fact that again, I love businesses. I'm always in awe when somebody has an idea and they're able to execute it, and I'm seeing them like growing it. So I always want to be a part of such settings, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's how I just decided, okay, when I took the course and I figured out what it was, I'm like, okay, I think this is a good
What's the
fit.
name of the course?
I probably will send you the link. I cannot remember, but if you just literally like go on Udemy and just type
You know.
AI adoption, use or AI transformation or AI enablement, these three
Okay.
keywords, you will have a
Okay.
lot of things pop up. I literally just went on ChatGPT to say I want to do this, and ChatGPT came up with like various courses on Udemy. So I'll just literally click and it will take me there. I'll look at the reviews, look at the star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if I started watching the video and I didn't like the person, I'll go off, I'll look for another one. If I didn't like how they were teaching, I just, because some people's teaching actually tend to make me sleep,
Yeah.
so if it wasn't working, I'll just go on and look for someone else, to watch. But yeah, pretty much. And then with AI adoption, also you're constantly learning, like every day. You want to gain a new knowledge on, how you can
Mm.
actually help an organization, adopt AI. It also helps if you understand use cases within different departments in an organization. It also helps. And that's why our earlier conversation about specialists and generalists, I said I don't think it's necessarily about that. If
Mm.
if you understand how a business works, if you understand various departments and what they do, it just helps for you to be able to know your next step. I just took courses and then I started writing, because with writing, I'm pretty much reinforcing what I have learned. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
you know, so I started doing a lot of writing on LinkedIn, especially. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I think that is pretty much it, and I'm still learning. Still, I
Learning
tell
never
people that,
ends.
yeah, I tell people that I had my children in 2024, and that was when I started learning like AI. I was literally, I will have a baby. This one breastfeed, I keep this one, carry this one, breastfeed, keep. And then there's my third baby, which was my laptop. You know, when they are sleeping, oh, you should be sleeping. They are sleeping. Nope. I'm learning. I started with AI photography as well. You know,
What
for
is even AI photography? Like, because you said it before, and I was like, it's probably
yeah,
people that
it's
just
just
come.
pretty much. So okay. So before now there was like Leonardo, what's this other one? Higgsfield. These were tools that people would use to
Mm.
generate images. But now even ChatGPT can just do all of that easy peasy.
Yes, yes.
So pretty much it was just people who wanted nice photos of themselves. They didn't have the budget to walk into a photo
So
studio,
studio.
the makeup, make their hair, buy new clothes, and all those things. They're a glam team. They didn't have the budget for that. So they could just easily look absolutely gorgeous thanks to AI, right? So I did that for a bit for a few persons. I got paid for it. But
Mm,
like I said, it's these things are usually the low hanging fruits where you see a lot of people trying to learn and they stop there. Do you get what I
mm.
mean? So there's a lot of people there. And for me, I
Yeah,
didn't,
yeah, being the low hanging fruit, I can imagine everybody's
yes,
doing.
yeah. So I didn't want to be stuck there. So that's why I'm like, okay, I just moved on to, I mean, I have a friend who even built a tool for AI photography. Yeah, for real estate, and it still works till today for those in the real estate space who need like really
Oh.
nice, professional, luxury looking photos.
When people build such tools, how are they normally different from just using ChatGPT or any other AI tool
Very
that
good
can?
question. You are thinking that way, but not everybody is because typically people are usually very, oh, you build this thing for real estate. Oh, I'm in the real estate space. They feel special that it was built for them and then they want to check it out.
Mm,
Some of them
okay.
is like FOMO. They feel like, oh, if I don't use it, there's something missing. But I promise you, there's nothing
Mm.
missing. So you asked a very, very grand question, which is the same question I would ask. My brain just like,
Yeah, that's a
what's the difference
difference. Like,
between, you know,
if I prompt
but
this thing well and give it context, how is it going to be doing?
exactly. But you see, but that's the thing. People will still pay
Yeah,
if it
definitely.
gives them value.
Definitely.
If it
Mm-hmm.
gives them value, and maybe I think another thing would be maybe having all their stuff in one place. I think that will also
Mm,
help. They would happily pay. And yeah, I think maybe another thing about maybe security, knowing that okay, I'm not directly maybe uploading my photo to ChatGPT. I don't even know if that's a thing because regardless, you're still training
but
AI.
seriously, it's all of yeah, it's still about the APIs. These people that build these tools essentially just buy API and customize the thing. You are still at the end of the day, you are using an LLM tool that one of these big companies built. They are usually the back end.
So yeah, so I think that okay, I think I see the value because I have actually two friends who have done this. And
Mm,
I think for me, the value is in the fact that today, if you go to ChatGPT, you still have to prompt it, tell it what you want. But with these tools, I don't need to prompt anything. I just upload
mm,
a picture that I like, and then I just click a button to say, okay, it will ask me, okay, what color do you want? Green. Okay, what is the portrait? Do you want portrait or landscape? Portrait. Do you want
oh,
this one? I click. Da, 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 da. So
okay.
they sort of
I
prompted it at the back
see.
end, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
they've
to the
abstracted away the prompting part.
so you're only just to be clicking. And what
Mm,
of course, if you're technical, you know that as you're clicking those things, you're literally building the prompt at the back end. That's what you're doing.
yes,
You know?
yes, yes.
So
It's been
I think
pre-prompted.
so I think that's not I think
The
that is the
value.
value. Yeah, because
Yes.
even the pictures I have from professional photo shoots I didn't need to prompt. I just went to the tool, click. Do you want 90s casual? Do you want bougie? Do you want luxury? I select the type I like, and then once I click, okay, wait, your pictures are generating, and then 8 pictures at once it gives me. Anyone I don't like, I refresh. It starts, trying to generate another picture. So things like that. So I think for someone like me, that would be the core value because I don't have time. I see people posting prompts, this is oh nice picture. This is how I got the picture. Find the prompts in the comment section, and then I'm seeing create a portrait of this one. 40
The
mm.
detail, the detail. I'm telling you, I'm like, who has?
Like, ain't nobody got time for
They're
this
extremely
place.
detailed. Yes,
So
yes.
I think those photography people, that's the value, really.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Oh, Joy, thank you so much. I'm taking so much away from this. I really appreciate the time and
Thank
you know.
you. It's all right. I had a nice time too. Thank you for the good work you're doing.